I think one of the issues that the government would have to grapple with is the idea of good, the conception of good. And it's even conceivable when we speak about the idea of good, it may even have to include the whole idea of the good, bad and ugly. Because when government plans to roll out this whole internet guideline, you realize there's only one justification, the idea of creating a good society. Now, we are not against this idea, and if you speak to most netizens, neither are they. But the idea of good, the idea of a well-balanced, or for that matter, even a healthy society, is something that I feel has not been given much airing. It has not been really discussed. And even that idea itself is very malleable and elastic. Because I can say that a place like New York itself is a height of moral turpitude. I mean, every 15 seconds, somebody is getting pickpocketed in New York. Every 15 minutes, somebody is getting stabbed, mugged, or for that matter, shot in the head. But, I mean, what do? You actually turn New York into a place like Saudi Arabia? No, of course not. Why? Because we have to have faith in the idea that somewhere in this place where there might reside the idea of good, the bad and the ugly, is the idea that good will prevail. Because even in that place that I spoke about in New York, every hour somebody is writing his Pulitzer Prize book. Somewhere, every 3 days, maybe a mathematician is resolving an equation that will change the way we live. And every 15 minutes, maybe somebody is coming up with a new idea in order to create a better world for us. So this whole conception of creating Disneyland, this whole conception of creating a sterile environment whereby government can actually project with relatively safety is in itself an idea that I don't believe exists. If government is truly interested in engaging netizens, then I believe they should take the internet for what it is and not what they believe it should be. Because say what you want, but once people have awakened, as Seneca would say, once the wings have spread and they have touched the spectrum of light, then there's no going back. So perhaps government should be more open to the idea of good. Perhaps they should even entertain the idea that utopia may contain elements of good and the bad and the ugly. But what we need to do is have faith. Have faith that somewhere in this great struggle, we can somehow be able to find a place whereby we can all coexist. Because I don't know where the internet will go in 10 or for that matter 15 or 20 years. I'm not Nostradamus. I can't tell you what it will do for society. But what I can say to you with a high level of certainty, that as a platform for innovation and creativity, it holds out tremendous promise. It is a place whereby, very much like New York, where it continues to attract the most capable, the most intelligent, the most mobile, because it is a lightning rod. It is a place whereby people feel that if they can make it in New York, then they can make it anywhere in the world. It's a no sweat and it's a no-brainer. And if you look at many of these cities around the world that are vibrant, like Silicon Valley, Tokyo, London, you find they are enclaves. They are very small enclaves of people who have their own view of life. They have their own idea of how society should be organized. And one of the funny things that I notice is that these places are very fragile. The ecology is not strong. It is not as resilient as what we may like to believe. So whenever governments want or they feel that they want to legislate on the internet, I think they should be mindful that there is a danger that they may change not only many of the attributions that may create the right conditions for people to be innovative and creative, but they may also end up creating the empire of the bones. And this is something I think we don't want. Because if you think about it, society progresses only because people are allowed to think the things that they want to think. And once you stamp it out, it's hard to rebuild it again. And if I may use an analogy, it's a bit like Pinot Noir. It's a type of grape that the Spanish will refer to as the ambrosia. And the thing about Pinot Noir is that it's very different from a Cabernet, or for that matter a Sauvignon, or even a Chardonnay. It only grows in very small places. That requires the right soil, the right conditions, the right temperature, and most importantly, the right wine grower. And I hope that when government decides to implement this guideline, they will buy into the idea that they should be good wine growers. I do wish you luck. I have a problem. My whole plantation is flooding, so you must excuse me. I have to work.